Well, Trump-backed digital world acquisition is surging today as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis drops out of the presidential race and endorses Trump. Look, you're looking at gains of just about 23%. Now, this coming ahead of the New Hampshire primaries tomorrow. And according to the latest polling, Trump's still leading by a wide margin with 50% support among Republican voters. That's compared to Nikki Haley's 39%. So here with more, we want to bring in Greg Valliere. He's AGF Investments Chief US Policy Strategist. Greg, it's great to have you. So let's start with DeSantis exiting here from the GOP field. Is this going to, do you think, shift any votes in Haley's direction, or is this really largely viewed as a big win for Trump?
It's a win for Trump, and I think the race will effectively be over on March 5th, Super Tuesday. In fact, it's probably going to be over even before then. If Haley loses conclusively last night, does she really want to stay in and go to South Carolina and lose again in her home state? She may drop out in the next couple of weeks.
And so what does this mean for now an emboldened Trump?
Yeah, good point. I mean, I think Trump now will post. He's going to be raising money. He'll be making some speeches. And frankly, I think there's going to be a focus on his rhetoric. A few days ago, he got confused. He confused Nancy Pelosi with his opponent, Nikki Haley. And I think that people are wondering what happened. So I think there'll be a lot of scrutiny on Trump in the next few weeks. But make no mistake, he's going to be the nominee.
And what do you think the reaction is going to be from some of the biggest Wall Street donors? Because we know a number of them have been backing Nikki Haley here in the primaries. Where do you think then that support lies? And what does that then tell us about the setup here for the general election?
Yeah, I think that there was supposedly a big fundraising dinner coming in the next couple of weeks. A lot of Wall Street people were going to be involved in it. And I think now they'd have to worry that they'd be throwing their money away. I just can't see her winning. It'll be crucial to see how she endorses Trump once she drops out. If it's lukewarm, well, that's one thing. If it's enthusiastic, that's another. My hunch is it's going to be pretty lukewarm.
Greg, you mentioned the theme of mental acuity, and I'm not a doctor, and I am not set to evaluate either Biden or Trump, but if there was a independent party candidate that came about that seemed like they could perhaps be able to drum up enough of a base, how do you think Wall Street, how do you think investors, and more broadly, that person might be received?
It's a good question. And I sense as I travel around the country, people are astonished when I tell them it's going to be Trump against Biden. There's not much doubt about that. I think it's just sinking in to a lot of Americans. Therefore, I think a lot of Americans will look at a third party candidate. You know, Robert F. Kennedy has a magical name. He's pretty out there in a lot of things like vaccines. But I think Robert F. Kennedy in many big states in the general election in November could get 2, 3, 4 points. And that could be enough to turn the state around.
And Greg, there's also been the narrative out there, and many of this backed by Trump supporters, saying that Nikki Haley, if she does continue with her campaign and she does end up losing to Trump here in the primaries, that it could be problematic for her future in terms of running for office again. What do you think about that?
I think she has to calculate that. Well, she and all of the candidates have been calculating for weeks, if not months. Look at Tim Scott. I mean, his endorsement of Trump was very calculating. I think they're all thinking about a cabinet position. They're all probably thinking about the vice presidency. So I think they're going to tread very lightly on Trump, worried that if they don't, their political careers could be damaged.
Greg Valliere, who is the AGF Investments Chief U.S. Policy Strategist. Thanks so much, Greg. Always a pleasure to get some of your insights.
You bet.